Be a real quick webinar, maybe 15, 20 minutes on how to create your 30-second pitch with hopefully a little here and there. I don't want to bore you too much. How this came about, I was actually at lunch with an associate. They turned around to me and said, you know, Laura, I literally don't know my pitch. You know, I don't know what to say when people ask me what I do, you know, and we've all had that happen where we're at a networking event or some sort of, you know, whatever it might be that we're meeting other people. We might not know much background on the person we're speaking with, but they literally just ask you simply, what do you do? And, you know, sometimes in our minds, what we do is, you know, and what you do is so complex that it's hard to sum it up in a real concise answer because you just want to tell them everything. So this is going to hopefully exercise for everybody to kind of get, you know, your specific elevator pitch where you can just tell people real quick, you know, what you do, how it can help them, and hopefully get to the point. So let's try to craft this so that you're consistent across the board, but that you are also listening to what other people need and want from your business and what you can offer. So I won't ask for any participants, but if anybody has any guesses on what our average attention span might be these days, I mean, if I were to guess, probably about 15 seconds max. And believe it or not, the average human attention span now dwindled down, which is really nothing. I mean, ever since, obviously, you know, there are contributing factors with the internet and phones and television, and it's really not a lot of time to capture someone's attention, to, you know, really engage them and figure out what they need and tell it to them. So in those first 8 seconds, that's when that's what you have to work with in terms of capturing someone's attention. And if you've ever heard someone say, well, they have the attention span of a goldfish, actually that's wrong, because humans now have the attention span that is 1 second less than a goldfish. And there's your goldfish. Just to put it into perspective, you know, we all go to these networking events and we talk to so many different people when we're there, you know, regardless of where you are, whether it's a convention, a conference, even just an intimate dinner, you know, you really are speaking with people that are from completely different walks of life, have completely needs. So basically, I want you to gather, if you come away with nothing, you know, I want this to be, what can I do for them? And you never know who you're speaking to. You know, it could be the guy that's dressed in really awful clothes and just really, you know, doesn't look like a business owner, doesn't look like he's professional, and yet that could be the one person in the room who has the most influence. You never know. So just to put that into perspective, right now there are 46 billionaires under the age of 40 in the world. And some of them you would never, ever know just by walking past them on the street or seeing them in the grocery store, if they even go, you know, that type of thing. Is this depressing for people like us? Absolutely. Is it also encouraging? Absolutely. These people have a lot of legal spend to be had, and there's a lot of opportunity. If you pass this guy on the street, would you think that he was a billionaire? Nope. But he was Mark Zuckerberg's roommate. He was the third employee at Facebook, and he made $8.4 billion in his day, and he is under 40. Same with this one. If you passed him on the street, you wouldn't think he's anybody different from anyone else. He's the CEO of Dropbox, worth $1.3 billion. Same here with Jack Dorsey. He was one of the founders of Twitter. He still owns 5% share in the company, and he's worth $2.2 billion. And then a recent addition, Nicholas Woodman. GoPro hasn't been around that long. He's the GoPro founder, and he's worth $1.3 billion. You look at a guy like that, you know, you meet him somewhere, you think he's just a regular guy, but you never know. So keep that in mind when you're at these events, that you never know who you're speaking with. Now, in terms of your pitch, when you're pitching to someone, you want to know, you know, they want to know who you are. They want to know why You want to know why they need your help, and you want to explain to them how you can help. So one of the attorneys that I spoke with, one of my partners, had said, you know, Laura, I go to these events, and last night I went to an event and I spoke to 7 different people, and my pitch was different 7 different times, you know, and he said it wasn't even close to being consistent. And you really want to make this consistent, but you need to make it about the person you're speaking with as well. So if you have no background on that person, that's one thing. You need to craft your pitch accordingly so that it can cover a broader range of what you do. If you're speaking to someone and you do know a little bit about their background, maybe you know their title, their company, whatever it might be, then you can kind of tailor it more to what they need. But you need to be thinking about why do they need your services, and how are you going to be able to help them? Make it more about them and less about you. As we always hear, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. You know, when you're at events and you're at dinner, you know, those are quick impressions that you make. I mean, those are real fast, you know, I mean, at a conference, you're meeting people for maybe less than a minute. You know, you never have the opportunity to make that first impression again. Make it strong, make them remember you for good reasons. Remember that, that's the important thing. Make them remember you for all the good and for what you can offer them. Make it count. So when you're engaging someone, the biggest thing that you need to remember is to listen. Listen first, speak second. You know, we've always spoken to those people where you're speaking to them and you know that they're already thinking about the next thing they're going to say. They're not even listening to what you're saying. We've all spoken to those people. Some of us have been those people. And you can already see the wheels turning, or you can see them waiting for a break in the conversation to jump in and say what they're trying to say. You don't want to be that person. If you're an active listener, you're going to pick up on things that you wouldn't normally pick up on. You're going to pick up on needs that they have, or problems that arise in their business, or whatever it might be, even that their kid plays softball and you have a connection to that some way. Be an active listener. This is going to help you to pitch much easier to them because you're going to be more informed, and in turn, you can inform them much better about what you do. Provide enough information to engage the person so that they ask you, you know, more about what you do, or more about what your capabilities are, or about what Parker Poe's capabilities are. You need to engage them right off the bat and make it relevant to them. Let's face it, everybody is selfish. You know, they want what's important to them. Try to hone in on whatever that is by listening to them. You know, if you don't know much about them, try to find out about them beforehand. If they come up to you, you know, I'm so-and-so, hi, I'm so-and-so, here's, you know, what do you do? If they just ask you that, well, what's your role in the company? Who, you know, what is your legal department like? You know, what size company do you work for? And we'll get into that a little bit more. Do not ramble. Nobody wants to be the person, nobody wants to be with the person where you're trying to get out of the you're doing anything you can to try and get out of the conversation. We've all, you know, looked around the room, looked at our watches, gone back to our computers when someone's in the office. You know, you don't want to be that person where people are trying to get away from you. Just remember that, you know, cut yourself off at a certain point. If if you're developing this pitch and you really have it down, you'll know when to stop yourself and to allow that other person to engage. Remember, it's all about engaging that person so that they're going to ask you more questions about what you do. So again, put yourself in the other person's shoes. Think about what they are trying to get out of the conversation. What are they looking for? If they're just looking to meet you, fine. But you need to make yourself memorable. Again, just leave that lasting impression. Make sure that they know who you are and what you do. Use layman's terms. Not everybody is going to know legal jargon or technical information that you're speaking about. Try to put it in terms that anybody would be able to understand. If you're speaking, obviously, to someone that knows your business, or that is in your industry, fine. You can use, specific terms that might be relevant for them, but try to not get too heavy on the jargon, because this can really ruin a conversation. Again, you'll be that person who's rambling and the other person will be trying to get out. So just keep it short and make sure that you try not to use too much technical speak. Ask more questions. Ask them, tell me about your role in the company. What do you do? What involvement do you have in your legal department? Who knows? I mean, they might not have any, but they could be best friends with the GC for all you know. You don't know until you ask. How many employees are in your company? How big is it? What are your day-to-day issues? Find out what makes them tick and find out what problems they're facing. And most of all, who does your legal work? This might seem a little forward to ask, but people understand. People are perceptive. They pick up on the fact that this is what you do and you're trying to accomplish a goal. Again, you have a short amount of time. Not only do you need to help them to solve their problem, but you need to accomplish your goal of, getting to the point, being direct, and asking them the questions that are pertinent to your business. So as you create your elevator pitch, please consider, who are your clients? Who generally do you serve? Who are your competitors, and how do you differ from your competitors? Differentiate yourself. If you do something special that someone else does not do, make sure to put that in there. People love to pick up on those unique little details. What is special about you? What can you tell them that would engage them right off the bat and make them ask more questions? Give them the interesting tidbits. That's what people want to hear. Again, our attention spans are so short. You need to capture them with the things that they'll want to hear. How do you and Parker Poe add value? Does one of your colleagues here at Parker Poe do the type of work that this person might need, or that their colleague might need? Always be thinking about it. Cross-sell, cross-sell, cross-sell. I cannot stress it enough. Think about what other needs they might have. They might not have a need for what you do, but get in the door. It cannot hurt to build those relationships and get your foot in the door. We all know that. So think about it. Be thinking about it when they're talking, not too much, but think about what you can do to add value and what you can suggest to add value to their business. Again, same point I've gone over and over. What could be relevant for them? And again, do not use legal jargon. Use business terms. Use appropriate speech, but do not draw them into too much jargon. That's just a little example right there. Now, in developing your pitch, who are you? Who do you want to portray yourself as? What do you want people to think of you for? Oh, that's the lawyer who does X, or that's the attorney who deals with this type of problem. Who do you want to be? You need to get that into a concise format and think about it, one sentence. Who do you want? Who are you? Who do you want to be? Who do you want others to know you for? So, what professional identity do you want to portray? And what type of work would this person be interested in that you do? So think about that. One sentence, I am, and think about it. After we get off the phone, I'm going to send around a worksheet that you can complete that has all of these points to it. And I really want you guys to think about, in one sentence, that would be, not a sentence that is going to, look good on paper. Something conversational that you would feel comfortable saying to someone, that you would feel comfortable engaging someone with, and that you feel also comfortable speaking more about. So it's not a dead end. It's something that opens up the dialogue for a little more. So in this sentence, partner or associate in an IP group of a leading West Coast law firm. Oh, where is your firm based on the West Coast? What type of IP work do you do? It's a sentence that opens up for more questions. Who do you work with? Think about the type and size of the companies that you work with, because that is going to be relevant to whomever you're speaking to. That information they're going to grab onto. Oh, that's the size of my company. So you know our business needs. You're used to working with people like us. It's all about them. And again, what type of work type of problems do you solve? I work with senior execs of large pharmaceutical companies and biotech ventures. Well, there's a lot of questions that can be had to that. People are going to ask you questions if they're interested. Leave it open-ended so that people can ask you. Don't get too granular. Just remember, do not get too granular. Think of it as a high-level overview of your own practice. What are you trying to solve? What problems have you solved in the past for your clients, and what are you looking to solve now? What problems has this person alluded to that you might be speaking with? If nothing, what problems have you solved for your clients specifically? Give them examples. Give them tangible information that they can cling on to. It helps so much when they have an actual example and they can say, that's the attorney who did this type of work for that client. They love hearing that. And finally, your summary. What do you do that creates value? Who do you do it for? And how your service differs from your competitors. Sum it all up in one sentence. Here's what I do for my clients. These are the types of clients I serve. And this is how I can help you, more than your other attorneys can, or more than your current firm can help you. Think about the ways to do that. I mean, summarize this as best as you can without going and rambling, because this can get long, but try to think of a good sentence to wrap it all up that will lead to more conversation. So you don't want to just have the conversation stop dead here. You want people to think more about you. And finally, if anybody has any questions, I am wrapping up. That's about it. I didn't want to take up too much of your time. Remember, a good rule is any single person that asks you what you do, hand them a business card. It helps to just keep you top of mind, regardless of if you've spoken to them for 5 seconds and you had to be pulled away. Hand them a card. You never know when that's going to come in handy. And if anybody needs, help writing their pitch or, needs some more tips, I'm happy to help. Again, I'm going to send around that worksheet that I referred to earlier. I hope this kind of got you guys thinking a little bit more about, how to keep it concise and how to really, hone in on the details that matter and not the erroneous details. Does anybody have any questions? All right, dead silence. Well, thank you guys so much for participating. I believe that Ashley is actually doing a webinar about Manzama that will be available on Parkway. She'll be letting everyone know about that, so tune in for that and just keep checking back to see what else we have going on.